Hope you can see my screen. Oh. Right.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 1 second. Where it is? Yes. So let's chant the prayers. Thanks for joining. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sopadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Desatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome you all once again and hope you are doing good, keeping you well. Let's start our discussion on chapter 10. So till now we have discussed chapter 10 till text number 3, right? Anyone have any questions, thought, or any realizations, please feel free to share. So I'll just quickly revise those things. So this chapter 10 is the opulence of the absolute, and text last verse, 34th verse of chapter 9, Krishna says that mana mana bhava mad bhakto. So Krishna is saying that, engage yourself to me in all other way, right? And worship me. So in that way, just a second. Right. So in that way, Krishna is going to explain more about his opulences so that we can actually engage our mind in Krishna. Right? How to engage our mind in Krishna? How can we think about Krishna all the time? That Krishna is going to explain in chapter number 10. And that's called the opulence of the absolute. So we'll see in the end that Krishna says there are so many opulents. I mean, it's unlimited, but I'm just describing you some few important ones. Right? And the very first verse, Krishna says that, listen, oh mighty arm Arjuna, listen, because you are my dear friend, and for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, and giving knowledge that is better than what I've already explained. So Krishna is going to explain this knowledge to whom? To understand that it's for his dear friend. So unless and until we become friend of Krishna, we won't be able to understand this knowledge of Krishna, isn't it? And how to become the friend of Krishna? Becoming devotee of Krishna, right? So we know that there are 5 ways, or 5 important rasas, primary rasas: Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatshalya, and Madhurya. And when we associate Krishna in this rasas, we understand Krishna more. So when we become dear to Krishna, his Vani, his Bhagavad Gita makes us more clearer, and we can understand this more properly. So that's why Krishna says, I'm speaking to you because you are my dear friend. So when we associate with Krishna through his books or his devotees, then we can actually relish and understand Krishna more, right? And then in text 2, Krishna says that who knows me and who does not know me, right? He says that neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my opinion or my opulences. And for in every respect, in any respects, even the devatas who are so much powerful than we living entity, right? we are struggling, but they are more powerful than us, right? Still, they do not know Krishna in every respect. Even the great sages, they also do not know Krishna's origin and opulences in every respect. However, Krishna says, I am the source of all of them. And Krishna is going to explain this more here in this chapter as well. Right. And then in text 3, we went further, where Krishna says that just one second. Text 3 is very, very important verse as well, isn't it? Anyone who knows Krishna as he is unborn, as the beginningless, right? He is the Lord of all the world. He only undiluted among men is freed from all sins. So the point is, we discussed that to go to the spiritual world, we need to be sinful free, right? We need to burn all our sins. And Rupa Goswami says in Nectar Devotion that Krishna consciousness is so auspicious that it will burn all our sinful activities, as well as all our sinful desires and all our upcoming miseries from our sinful activities, right? So it's all auspicious, right? And by practicing Krishna consciousness, we can actually be all sin free, right? We can free from sinful. So how can we free from sin? Krishna is saying that knowing me as I am unborn, I am the beginningless, and I am the supreme Lord of this whole universe, whole world, and everything actually, right? But having this knowledge is actually very rare. Understanding to this position becomes very rare, right? It's the point, and Prabhupada mentioned this point as well, that how it is very, very rare to understand Krishna in that respect, that Krishna is unborn, Krishna is beginningless, and he is the supreme master of everything. Though Krishna repeatedly says this in Bhagavad Gita, but still it's become difficult for people to understand. The only reason is that they, unless and until we become the friend of Krishna or devotee of Krishna, the knowledge becomes way apart from us. So let's continue from text 4 today. Any thought, any questions as of now?
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Just a quick thought, Prabhu. So, is that the meaning is that only a pure devotee can understand Krishna, or at any cost, even a pure devotee can? I mean, if we go to the eternal world, only then we'll understand Krishna, or at any cost it's difficult because Krishna is so. I mean, he is the supreme. So at any cost, even the living soul can never understand Krishna.
Yeah, that's a nice question, actually. To be very honest, yeah, as Krishna is unlimited, so to understand Krishna completely, it's not possible for anyone. However, the understanding is that Krishna is the source of everything. That we can at least get it. So two things, right? Understanding Krishna completely, it's not possible for anyone. Even Krishna doesn't understand himself properly. That's why he takes a form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a devotee, right? In the mode of Srimati Radharani, to understand his own thing, right? So understanding Krishna is very difficult. Nevertheless, but when we become devotee of Lord, gradually when we go towards higher and higher stage of the or devotional service, then actually we can understand something about Krishna. And understanding that, we can be assured that Krishna is the source of everything. So understanding Krishna completely is not possible, but understanding that Krishna is source of everything is possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
We know that, and we'll see it in this chapter as well. Krishna is going to, even Krishna told more in things in chapter 7 and 9. Still, he's going to elaborate more here in this chapter as well. Right? If that makes sense. So yes, the only way to understand is becoming devotee of the Lord.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I think once Ramanand Prabhu was saying that we cannot understand Krishna everything. However, we can try to understand something about Krishna and try to understand everything about that something. So it's a complete huge, but we can just choose a part to understand it and try to understand completely about that small part. That will be enough for us to be devoted toward Krishna. Right? And
That's nice.
gradually impure devotees, like, when the devotees understand that we are the servant of the Lord, and they engage all their activities in serving Lord, that's the best, right? So the epitome of serving Krishna is Srimati Radharani, and no one can be there, or no one can attain that position actually. However, we have the tendency, we have the desire to go towards that, at least to understand this. So we have the desire, so Krishna reflects accordingly, right? So it's a very nicely comes in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, that the levels of devotees, one from Brahmana, one towards Indra, then to Lord Brahma, then to Lord Shiva, and then towards Vaikuntha Loka, and then again come back to Goloka, Vrindavan, and from Vrindavan the Brajavasis, and in the Brajavasis, the higher than the Brajavasis are the Gopagan, or the light, and then from in that, the higher than that is that comes the gopis, I mean the Mother Yashodas, in that motherly parental service, and then higher than that it comes like all the gopis, and the higher than that comes is the Srimati Radharani, and that the full stop. No one can go cross Srimati Radharani's love toward Krishna. So can you imagine it's like going from a small brahmanas towards whole universe, right, from Vaikuntha Loka as well, and then coming back to Vrindavan. But it's actually going higher and higher and higher and higher, and the epitome is Srimati Radharani. So we desire to be there. That's why we say, "Oh, Srimati Radharani, please bless us so that we can understand Krishna," right? And in that way, the mode is to serve Krishna. So while serving Krishna, we can actually try to understand Krishna. That's how the acharyas explain this. That's how our shastras and all acharyas explains towards us how to understand Krishna, right? Let's see what Krishna says more here. Text 4. Buddhir, please repeat after me.
Buddhir
Jnanam
Jnanam
asammoha
Asammoha
Kshama
Kshama
Satyam
Satyam
Damaha
Damaha
Shamaha
Samaha
Sukham
Sukham
Dukham
Dukkham
Bhavo
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 Bhayam
Bhayam
Chabhyameva
Chapyameva
Cha
Cha
Ahimsa
Ahimsa
Samata
Samata
Tushti
Tushti
Tapo
Tapo
Danam
Dhanam
Yasho
Yasho
Yashaha
Yashaha
Bhavanti
Bhavanti
Bhava
Bhava
Bhutanam
Bhutanam
Mattah
Mataha
Eva
Eva
Prathak
Pruthak
Vidaha
Vidaha
Buddhirjnanam asammoha
Buddhirjnana Samoha
Shama Satyam Dama Shamaha
Shama Satyam Damaha Shamaha
Sukham Dukham Bhavo Bhavo
Sukham Dukkham Bhavo Bhavo
Bhayam Chabhyam Eva Cha
Bhayam Cha Bhayameva Cha
Ahimsam Samatam Trustis
Ahimsa Samata Tushti
Tapo Dhanam Yasho Yashaha
Tapodhanam Yasho Ayashaha
Bhavanti Bhava Bhutanam
Bhavanti Bhava Bhutanam
Matta Eva Prathak Vida.
Matta Eva Pruthak Vida.
So what Krishna is saying here is very important. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of the living being are created by me alone. So the point is, Krishna is saying that whatever you see here in this world actually is created by Krishna himself, isn't it? So So the point is, everything actually is coming from Krishna. All comes from Krishna. So Krishna's source is a source, he's the origin of all the qualities, right? So we see people are intelligent. So when we see people are intelligent, we can assume that, or we can say it, that the intelligence the person got is actually by Krishna's blessing, the knowledge and everything, whatever we have, the opulent or knowledge and everything, what we can see, actually we can say that everything coming from Krishna. And Krishna is claiming it here, that is all created by me alone, right? And let's see, Prabhupada says, the different qualities of living entity, be they are good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. So what it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when the creation happens, secondary creation, the primary creation is done by Krishna, and the secondary creation done by Lord Brahma. So from the back side of Brahma, these all the bad qualities actually they appear, and from front all the good qualities appear. So everything is actually comes from Brahma. So Brahma is again is being the knowledge given to create everything to Brahma is by Krishna himself, right? So then Prabhupada explains about this intelligence and freedom of duality, delusion, and everything. This all actually coming from Krishna, right? So yeah, that's a very nice point Prabhupada mentioned in this first paragraph. He says, in modern education, there is no knowledge about the spirit. They are simply taking care of the material element and the bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. So why academic knowledge is not complete? Right? Any thought? See, Prabhupada says that there is no university in or institution in the whole world who teaches the science of soul. And unless and until we know the science of soul, rest other things, it actually is a kind of it's get nullified as soon as we will give up this body. However, the soul travels, isn't it? There is a nice I think it's in Katha Upanishad or Upadesamrita. In Katha Upanishad or Hita Upadesh, one of those. So what happens is it described that when a person gives up his body or when a person dies, what happens? So he says the money he has, right? The money he has, it remains as it is in the bank or wherever you have saved. It remains all there. It can't move at all. And then it described more, saying the vehicles the person may possess, like earlier they used to have animals like elephant and horses and other things. They remain in their area, like gausalas and other. They can't go as well with the person. And then he says the ladies or his wife, actually, the wife, she cannot cross the doorstep. Normally, when a person dies, the wives still they remain at the home, right? And the fourth, he says his relatives, Swajana, he says relatives, they go to still Samsana. So the relatives, the people, the person associated with him, they go till the Samsana. And then what happens to the body? He says the body is actually goes into Agni, the fire. Right? Maybe different, maybe we can say as different religions, different way, but actually it again goes back into this five Pancha Mahabhut. Either you throw the body or you bury the body or burn the body. It's actually going to conclusively going to get merged in the Pancha Mahabhut, right? The fire element of the body goes to fire, the earth goes to earth, and kind of things, right? And then he says that the verse says that the last thing is the soul. The soul travels to the paraloka, depending upon our previous karma. It goes to either different bodies or toward different planets, right? So that knowledge is nowhere given. And what knowledge we are getting is actually all this of metal elements and the bodily needs. So I need to study, I need to get money, I need to get enjoy and everything. That's what you're talking about. No teachers, no schools, or nothing they teach us about the science of soul, right? That's why this knowledge, academic knowledge, is incomplete. Again, in Srimad Bhagavatam also, Kunti Maharani says that by any kind of opulence, we cannot ever understand Krishna. Though we may be very, very learned, we have maybe double PhD and all graduation or whatever degree you can think of. But unless and until we have the science of, we know the science of soul, we know the science of self-realization, our all knowledge actually is of no use, because as soon as we give up this body, the all knowledge we had is buried as well. When we take another birth, we have to go to schools and college again to get the certificates. However, when we have the knowledge of soul and we perform activities toward the soul, that knowledge or that thing, it comes with us in our next life. And that is basically the path of bhakti, where we accumulate previous things to our next life, and then gradually when it becomes completely full, we go back to spiritual world. Right? So that's why Prabhupada says that this academic knowledge is not complete. He doesn't say that you should not get it, but the point is it's incomplete, because there is no education where we get the knowledge about the spirit, which actually the real thing in this body, right? This body is goes away. We might look very, very, very young, very beautiful, very handsome, whatever it is, but that in due course of time, it's going to finish, right? So that is what it talking about, this metal elements and the bodily, but no one talks about the spirit, right? And that's what Prabhupada says, the knowledge means knowing the distinctions between the spirit and matter. And in Ishopanishad, this is also described elaborately as well. The knowledge can be good, knowledge can be bad, right? And knowledge can elevate us, knowledge can degrade us. So the knowledge we get, there are so much knowledge in this world, you can find it, but they can degrade us, right? And there are so much knowledge which actually can elevate us. So knowledge about the soul, about the matter, is actually the real knowledge to get for the human being, right? And Prabhupada explains about other topics as well in this paragraph. And again, he puts another one important point. He says, control of the senses means that senses should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. It means engaging our senses in Krishna service, right? Again, it's a nice and good purpose. Means bigger one. He says that this birth should be understood to refer to the body. So body gets birth and death, right? But the soul is never takes birth, it never dies, right? Krishna explains that in chapter 2 as well very clearly. And then he says that Vasamse Jinnani Yatha Viha, in that verse we understood that as we turn away our clothes, when it gets worn, we get a new one. In a similar way, when the soul thinks that his body is no more of use, he throws us away and then takes another body. So the body dies, body takes birth, but soul never dies, neither it takes birth, right? Okay. And Prabhupada actually explains each word actually very, very elaborately about what non-violence means. So non-violence, it doesn't mean only that, okay, killing only the human being. It's actually non-violence means, violence doesn't only mean that killing human being. It's actually about killing animals as well. That's also violence. So we should be very careful about not doing any violence towards any animals as well, right? Towards any species, right? Okay, let's go to text 5. This is a very nice long purport actually, and we should go through it very nicely, so that we can understand each words what Krishna says, what intelligence, what is equanimity, what is good and what is bad, and other things, right? And everything is actually coming from Krishna. That's the important thing, that's the essence of this verse. And text 6, let's see what Krishna says. Maharshaya Shapta Purve Chatvaro Manavastatha Madbhava Manasajata Yesham Loka Ima Praja Maharshaya Sapta Purve Chatvaro manavastatha
चत्वारो मनवस्तदा
madbhava manasa jata
मद्भावा मानसा जाता
yesham loka ima praja.
येषां लोकायां प्रजा.
So now Krishna is saying that he is actually the origin of all. So earlier he speaks about all the qualities we see, isn't it? The intelligence and the happiness and distress, everything that's coming from Krishna. And now he's saying that the seven great sages, the Saptarishi, and the before them the four other great sages and the Manus, progenitor of the mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living being populating the various planets descend from them. So this is basically Krishna speaking about a secondary creation. So everything actually comes after that. Krishna gives the knowledge to Brahma, and from Brahma, he started actually progeniting this whole mankind. So he from him this four Chatuskumara comes out. When Chaturkumaras came, he says, "Okay, Chatuskumara, you go and fill this world with mankind." They denied. They said, "No, we would like to be brahmacharis," and there is the small at the edge, and they remain brahmachari. And then gradually it becomes a Manu. So Manu agreed. Even Lord Shiva comes from Lord Brahma, and then Manu agrees to fulfill the desire of Lord Brahma, right? And that's what we described in Bhagavatam as well. So these are all coming from Krishna's minds, right? And then whole the world get populated by all this from this. So you can see the source is a Krishna, then Lord Brahma, and then from Brahma this Chatuskumara, then after that Manu and the seven sages, and gradually it completely populated the whole planet. So Prabhupada says here that the Lord is giving a genealogical synopsis of the universal population. Brahma is the original creator born out of the energy of the Supreme Lord, who is also known as Hiranyagarbha. Right. And from Brahma, all seven sages, great sages, and before them four other great sages named Sanaka, Sanandan, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, and the 14 Manus are manifested. And these 25 great sages are known as patriarchs of the living entities all over the universe, right? So there are innumerable universes and innumerable planets within each universe, and each planet is full of population of different varieties. So the creation or the essence is actually coming from Lord Krishna, right? So what happened, how Brahma got this knowledge? Prabhupada mentioned that Brahma actually so we see this picture, right? How Lord Krishna is Vishnu is lying, and from his navel lotus flower, lotus stem sprouts, and in that lotus flower we see Lord Brahma sitting. So when Lord Brahma actually got he would try to see where I am, what is going on. So he could not understand everything. So he actually went into the stem of this lotus, and he by going to stems, even he could not find anything. What's happening? Then he heard two words, tapa. So then he went for 1,000 years of tapasya, meditation, and then he heard sound from Lord Vishnu while he get the knowledge of creation, and then he creates everything, right? So that's elaborately described in Srimad Bhagavatam as well. So then Prabhupada says that then from Brahma came Shanak Sanatana and the Chatuskumar, then Rudra and the Saptarishi, and all the way to Brahman and Kshatriyas are born out from this energy of Krishna. And that's what Krishna says as well in chapter 15. Mamai Vamsya Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna is saying that these all living entities are actually my answers, and they are eternal. Eternal means what? The Sanatana means what? They're eternal. They in the past they existed, in the present they are existing, and in future they will remain existed. That's why Krishna says they are Sanatana, right? So, and Prabhupada says that Krishna is the father of the grandfather, that is the father of Lord Brahma as well, right? So Krishna is Prapita Maha. Okay. Let's take one another verse. Text 7. Text 7 actually he says by accepting Krishna's, the powers lead to surrenders. Etam
एतां
vibhutim
विभूतिं
yogam
योगं
cha
च
mama
मम
yo
यो
eti
Beti
tatvatah
तत्त्वतः
so
so
vikalpena
विकल्पेन
vikalpena
yogena
योगेन
yogena
yujyate
yujyate
natra
natra
samshayah.
संशयः
samshaya
एतां विभूतिं योगं च
एतां
etam vibhutim
विभूतिं
yogam cha
मम यो वेति तत्त्वतः
मम
mama
योगतः
yogati
तो विकल्पेन योगेन
तो अविकल्पेन योगेन
yogena
युज्यते नात्र संशयः.
युज्यते
natra samshaya.
So this chapter in Hindi is called as Vibhuti Yoga, Krishna's opulent. So Krishna says, Etam Vibhutim Yogam Cha. So anyone who actually understands this and accepts that Krishna is the opulent of Krishna, right? So they engage themselves in Krishna's devotional service, right? Let's see. So his verse says, one who is factually convinced of these opulences and the mystic powers of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there is no doubt. So the point is boiling down towards devotional service, isn't it? And how can someone engage himself in devotional service? Krishna told earlier as well, isn't it? By understanding that Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna says in previous verses that even the devatas, even the great sages, they do not know everything about me, right? But I am the source of them as well. And then also Krishna again says that everything, if you see this all sages and then how the Manus, 14 Manus and everything, they are actually coming from Krishna. And now he's saying that anyone who factually convinced of this opulence, right? So, I mean, if someone try to say you something, how can you get convinced? You will get convinced only when you accept the person is saying something, isn't it? If you don't accept the person, you won't accept his words as well, right? So when we accept Krishna as Supreme Lord, we accept Krishna's opulent as well. And then by accepting the both, what happens? When we accept Krishna and the opulences nicely by understanding through scriptures with the association of devotees, right? Then what happens? We definitely engage ourselves in unalloyed devotional service. And that's what Krishna says in chapter 9, text 34, Mana Mana Bhavat Bhakto. So how can you engage your mind in me? When we are factually convinced of Krishna's opulence. And Krishna is the powerful of all powers. Krishna is the source of all energies. Krishna is the source of everything. Then we engage ourselves in devotional service. See, the point is, we in this living world, in this material world, we have to serve someone. We can't live without service. That's for sure. So either you serve Maya Devi or serve Krishna. That's your choice. Or Srimati Radharani. That's your choice, right? But service has to be performed. Without service, we can't survive actually. If you see, let's for example, we go to job, we get earn money for what? For serving either our body or our family or our kids or everything, or our parents and or our country or our society, everything. We are serving. A prime minister, he is in a position of highest platform of the country. He has been known with the best person of the country who represents the country. But he's what he's doing? He's actually serving the country, isn't it? If you see the army persons, what they are doing, they are serving the country. So service is always there. We cannot neglect it. In every respect, we have to do service, right? But when we engage, when we take this service towards Krishna, that becomes devotional service. Why? Because there we understand that I am the servant of Krishna. Gopi Bharto Padakamalu Das Dasanu Das. We understand that actually every living entity is actually servant of Krishna. So I am serving Krishna. And it also explains nicely that Ekela Ishwara Krishna Baki Shaba Bhrita. So the Ishwara, Supreme Ishwara is Krishna, and everyone else is servant. And if you see text 12, Canto 12, text 13, text 1, there it's been nicely said that even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, Varuna, Surya, everyone says that Krishna is supreme. And Krishna says clearly in Bhagavad Gita that I am supreme. Right. So there is no conflict in here and there. The conflict is just within our own self, our understanding. Right. So by understanding Krishna factually, his operant, his powers, we engage ourselves in devotional service. And Prabhupada says unalloyed. Means what? Ahetuki. Bhagavatam says ahetuki apratiyata yajatma suprasiddhati. Without unalloyed, uninterrupted, unmotivated. Uninterrupted, unmotivated. There is no motivation. I don't want anything from you, but I am serving you. Like a mother serves the child very nicely. He doesn't say, okay, when you grow up, just give me something. No, but she just loves and serves the child. Right. So that's why how we understand Krishna as our master, then we engage ourselves in serving Krishna. And when we serve Krishna, that comes to devotional service. And when we have that devotion, that actually everything what I am, whatever I have, or whatever I will be, it just because of Krishna's blessings, then it becomes an unalloyed devotional service. We don't ask anything to Krishna. We just get pleasure in serving Krishna. Right. Prabhupada starts purport nicely. He says, the highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The highest summit, can you just imagine, the topmost thing in the spiritual perfection is the knowledge of Krishna, which actually getting knowledge of Krishna is very rare. Isn't it? Krishna himself says to know me is not very easy. But when we take baby steps towards understanding Krishna, we will get there. We won't be able to understand Krishna completely, but we will definitely understand that everything is Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. The source of everything is Krishna. Right. So unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. So basically, just knowing Krishna, right? When you know Krishna, we engage ourselves in devotional service. So generally, people know that the God is great. Prabhupada says, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Right? We say God is great, but how God is great, if you ask, people will not be able to tell you. But Bhagavad Gita says that how Krishna is great. Right? And that's Prabhupada says, here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in devotional service of the Lord. Because you know very well that yes, I am nothing in front of Krishna. Right? Even not, I mean, I'm nothing in front of his energies, what to speak about Krishna. Right? That's how, by understanding this knowledge, we have no alternative but to surrender to Krishna. Right? And Prabhupada says these are also given in Srimad Bhagavatam and these literatures very nicely. What time we have left? Okay, it's 10:46 now. I think we'll stop here, because from text 8 till text 11, these are 4 verses. These are very important verses actually. These are also called Chatusloki Bhagavad Gita. So we'll discuss about these 4 verses in the next week. And these are the essence of everything. These are essential verses actually. This describes about the pure bhakti and the essence of Bhagavad Gita, you can say, as from here, text 8 to text 11. And so we'll discuss it in next Wednesday. Anyone have any questions or thought, or anyone want to share something, please feel free to okay. Else we'll try to chant one round or 5-10 minutes. Okay, nothing from anyone. So what we will do is we will chant, and before that I wanted to read something about chanting. Just give me a second. I'll come back. Hare Krishna. So the transcendental effects of the holy name. So this is from Navamrita. He says, by chanting the holy name, we become free from the reactions to the sins, because today we discussed about the sin and its cease. So he says, Prabhupada says, first, the holy name eradicates the results of sins committed both in the present and in prior lifetimes. According to the law of karma, a human being is responsible for the sinful acts he performs and must suffer for them. As you sow, so shall you reap. Deeply enmeshed in a complex web of material actions and their reactions, one must suffer the duality of pleasure and pain, lifetime after lifetime. The holy name, however, eradicates all reactions to the past sins, both those manifesting themselves at present and those destined to manifest themselves in the future. Similarly, by the chanting the holy name, one attracts the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this person has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. So the power of holy name is absolve sin, is declared emphatically in the scriptures. The Garuda Purana tells us, if one chants the holy name of the Lord, even in the helplessness or without desiring to do so, all the reactions of his sinful life departs. Just as when a lion roars, all the small animals flew in fear. Says the Brihad Vishnu Purana, simply by chanting the name of Hari, a sinful man can counteract the reactions to more sins than he is able to commit. Right? So that's how chanting the holy Mahamantra is so auspicious. So let's chant for some 5-7 minutes. If you can turn on your video or chant louder, it's all good. So let me stop the recording meanwhile.